Snow pressed softly against the café window as if the night itself was listening, and the single father sat hunched over a small wooden table, hands clasped so tightly his knuckles burned, wondering how a harmless Christmas favor had led him here, to a blind date he never wanted, across from a woman whose eyes carried the same quiet grief he spent years hiding from the world. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that arrive when we least expect them, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Hub Tale, because stories like this live in the spaces where hope almost disappears. He had not dated since the winter his life broke apart. Since the night the hospital lights went cold and he walked out with a coat that still smelled like her perfume and a future that suddenly felt too heavy to carry alone. Being a single dad had not been a heroic choice or a bold decision, it had been survival. Every morning began before dawn, packing lunches, braiding hair with clumsy fingers, checking homework, forcing smiles when his daughter asked why other kids had moms waiting at the school gate. He learned how to be gentle and strong at the same time, how to cry silently in the shower, how to smile through school concerts while a hollow ache lived permanently in his chest. Christmas, once his favorite season, had become the hardest. Lights felt louder, songs felt crueler, and couples holding hands reminded him of everything he had lost. The blind date was not his idea. It was arranged by a coworker who believed loneliness could be cured with effort and good intentions. He had resisted, saying his heart was full already, filled by his child and his responsibilities, but the truth was simpler and more painful. He was afraid. Afraid of hope. Afraid of comparison. Afraid that opening his heart again would expose scars he barely managed to cover. Yet on that snowy evening, dressed in a sweater his daughter had proudly chosen, he found himself sitting in a warm café lit by tiny golden lights, wondering if this night would be another reminder that he no longer belonged in the world of shared laughter and future plans. Across from him sat a woman in a green coat, her hands folded just like his, her posture careful, as if she too was bracing for disappointment. There was an awkwardness in the air, not uncomfortable but fragile, like thin ice over deep water. He noticed small things first. The tired kindness in her eyes. The way she smiled politely but rarely. The faint tremble in her breath when silence lingered too long. He recognized it because it mirrored his own. Two strangers, both tricked into showing up, both quietly hoping the evening would pass without reopening old wounds. As snow fell heavier outside, time slowed. He thought about his daughter at home with a neighbor, probably counting minutes until he returned, probably hoping he would not come back sad again. He thought about how love had once been easy, how trust had once been natural, how now every feeling required effort and caution. The world had taught him that joy could be temporary and loss permanent. He carried that lesson everywhere, like a shield and a burden. The woman across from him shifted slightly, her eyes glistening as she looked down at the table, and something in the air changed. It was subtle, almost invisible, but he felt it in his chest. When she finally spoke, it was not small talk or forced humor. What she shared was not polished or prepared. She revealed that she had agreed to the date because she was tired of being alone during holidays, tired of pretending she was strong all the time. She spoke about caring for someone she loved deeply and losing them, about how grief does not disappear but settles quietly into daily routines. She admitted that Christmas was the hardest day of the year, not because of memories, but because of the silence afterward. Her words hit him with unexpected force. Not because they were dramatic, but because they were honest. They stripped away his defenses. In that moment, the café, the lights, the snow all blurred as his chest tightened and tears welled up despite his efforts to hold them back. What she said reminded him that he was not broken, just human. That pain did not make him weak, only alive. That surviving loss did not mean abandoning hope forever. He lowered his head, overwhelmed by the sudden release of emotions he had buried for years. Tears fell quietly, not from embarrassment, but from recognition. For the first time since becoming a single dad, he did not feel alone in his grief. He felt seen, understood, and safe enough to let the weight fall away, even if just for a moment. The evening did not magically fix their lives. There were no promises, no sweeping declarations, no perfect ending wrapped in ribbons. What changed was simpler and more powerful. He left the café feeling lighter, as if the world had gently reminded him that healing often begins with being understood. When he returned home, his daughter ran into his arms, and he held her a little tighter, realizing that his heart had room for more than survival. It had room for connection again. Days turned into weeks, and something subtle shifted inside him. He smiled more easily. He listened more deeply. He stopped avoiding invitations and stopped punishing himself for still wanting companionship. He learned that love does not replace loss, it grows around it, honoring what was while allowing space for what could be. That blind date, built on a harmless trick, became a turning point, not because of romance, but because of shared humanity. As Christmas morning arrived, snow dusted the streets just like that night, and he watched his daughter open gifts with pure joy. For the first time in years, he did not feel the ache as sharply. He felt gratitude. Gratitude for pain that taught him empathy. Gratitude for strangers who unknowingly hold mirrors to our hearts. Gratitude for second chances that arrive quietly, without promise, but full of possibility. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of your own struggles, losses, or unexpected moments of healing, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Hub Tale, because every interaction helps spread stories that remind us we are never truly alone. Before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness changed your life. Sometimes, the greatest gifts of Christmas are not wrapped in paper, but in understanding, compassion, and the courage to sit across from someone and be honest. And sometimes, a single dad walks into a cafe expecting nothing, and walks out with tears that finally wash the pain away.